Dear viewers, after days of relentless flooding, many regions across China are still struggling in the aftermath. While the rain has eased in some areas, the scars left behind remain deep and painful. Provinces like Guizhou, Sichuan, Yunnan, Henan, and Liaoning are still clawing their way back from the devastation. In Guizhou, floodwaters have receded from the main streets of Rongjiang County, but hundreds of families still cannot return home. Thick mud, scattered debris, and the looming threat of landslides keep them away. Homes are left leaning and broken after battling the raging floodwaters. Furniture inside is warped, rotted, and covered in mold, damaged beyond repair. Livestock and poultry lie dead in every direction, motionless in the thick, soupy mud. The air is heavy with the unbearable stench, a choking mix of decaying animal carcasses, rotting wood, spoiled food, and the foul residue left behind by the receding waters. Belongings are scattered everywhere, and cars are piled into rusting heaps, looking like the wreckage of a forgotten war. The Chinese government has now officially deployed the military and People's Armed Police to the hardest-hit areas, working alongside local residents to clear away mud and restore what's left of the broken infrastructure. Still, peace has not returned to China. Today, a monstrous gray storm swept over the skies of Liaoning, as if nature had come roaring back with vengeance. This wasn't just ordinary rain, it was a violent storm, a terrifying fusion of torrential downpour and relentless gusts, as if the sky was venting its final fury upon the land. Liaoning today was not only drowned in floodwaters, it was shredded by howling winds. Ancient trees were ripped from the ground, utility poles swayed like they were about to snap. Sheets of metal roofing flew into the air, spinning violently before slamming into the streets like knives falling from above. In every neighborhood, people locked their doors tight, stuffing cracks and crevices with anything they could find. Yet the wind still pushed through, whipping curtains into a frenzy, tearing open trash bins and blasting cold, biting air straight into people's hearts. It wasn't just Liaoning. In Gansu Province, a remote and rugged region in northwest China, residents are facing one of the worst disasters in recent years. Over 25 rivers have overflowed, unleashing millions of cubic meters of muddy water that swept through towns and villages, turning streets into rivers, public squares into lakes, and the very roads that once connected lives into deadly currents. Longnan City, once a bustling commercial hub, is now submerged in a filthy sea. Sidewalks have vanished under the water, and cars are drifting like plastic toys in a dirty bathtub. Police have taken to rooftops to get a view of the devastation and help those still stranded. Red alerts for flash floods and landslides remain in full effect across the mountainous terrain of Gansu. The soil has been soaking up rain for days, and with just one more downpour, entire hillsides could collapse without warning. People living at the foot of the mountains no longer dare to sleep. They take turns staying awake, their eyes fixed on the slope behind their homes like they're watching a wild beast about to attack. According to Chinese state television, a deadly landslide struck Rongjiang County last night, sweeping away 8 homes. Nearly 20 people remain missing, and 14 lives were lost in a single, terrifying instant. Farther to the northeast, a region rarely hit by extreme natural disasters is now facing a sudden and unexpected assault from nature. Though the intensity isn't quite as fierce as in Guizhou or Sichuan, heavy rains are still pouring down in waves, relentless and seemingly without end. In Inner Mongolia, meteorological stations have issued red alerts for flash floods, the first in 5 years. In cities like Hohhot, Baotou, and Shifeng, rainfall exceeded 120 millimeters in less than 12 hours. Some streets were submerged halfway up car tires, forcing people to wade slowly through what was once a familiar dry road. A resident in Baotou shared, "I've never seen anything like this here." Heavy rain, strong winds, and water flooding into basements. We had to lift everything off the ground in just a few minutes. Low-lying neighborhoods have started receiving evacuation orders. Many families scrambled to pack up, moving children and the elderly to higher ground. In central China, Henan province is still echoing with the sound of rescue sirens. This morning, the levee along the Taiping River overflowed, submerging Sichuan town under 1.8 meters of water in just 30 minutes, leaving at least 5 people dead and 3 missing. The roar of the flood was terrifying, as water slammed against walls like the furious cry of the earth itself. One survivor said it felt like nature had become a sworn enemy. The water hit like a tsunami, they recalled. In Guangxi, once known for its peaceful limestone mountains, terraced rice fields, and babbling brooks winding through quiet villages, there is no peace now. For days, heavy rains have flooded areas across Nanning, Guilin, and Baise, plunging the entire region into what feels like a never-ending nightmare. Gentle streams that flowed calmly all year have now surged into violent torrents. In the town of Pingguo, floodwaters from upstream poured in within hours, dragging mud, rocks, trash, and even cherished memories in its wake. Vital routes like National Highways 321 and 322 have been closed off due to landslides and washed-out roads. At a sharp turn in Yunnan County, video footage captured the shocking moment an entire stretch of road was swallowed whole as the asphalt cracked open and the roadside collapsed into the river below. In Henan, the floods have returned with a vengeance fierce, sudden, and unforgiving. Heavy rains over the past 3 days have pushed the entire south-central region of the province into a state of emergency. Rainfall recorded at stations in Sangji, Changde, Yiyang, and Liling has all exceeded 250 millimeters, more than 70% above the seasonal average. Rivers like the Xiangjiang, Lishui, and Zhejiang have swelled beyond capacity, breaking through levees at no fewer than 5 locations in a single night. The Lishui River, a vital artery in the northwest of the province, has risen more than 2 meters above the safety level, causing severe flooding in Rongjiang County and low-lying riverside areas. The entire town is submerged in murky brown water that reaches up to the chest of an adult. Houses have been tilted by the force of the current, and many rooftops now stand alone, like lonely islands in a vast inland sea. In Changsha, the provincial capital, roads have turned into rivers. Underground tunnels, basement parking lots, and metro stations were flooded within minutes after last night's downpour. Traffic came to a complete standstill in Wuhua and Tiantan districts. Rescue teams had to deploy inflatable boats to evacuate residents from high-rise buildings that were cut off from the outside world. In rural areas, the situation is even more critical. Riverside communes in Xinhua and Ningguan counties were forced to carry out emergency evacuations of over 11,000 people as water levels rose rapidly, dragging in mud, debris, and trash into residential zones. Hundreds of hectares of rice and corn, just days away from harvest, have been completely destroyed. Village roads have been severed, and widespread power outages have left entire communities in the dark. At least 5 counties have now declared Level 1 emergency status, the highest level in China's disaster response system. Military rescue forces and armed police have been deployed to 13 hotspots, bringing with them boats, water pumps, and power generators. However, the rain shows no signs of stopping. Forecasts predict another extreme downpour in the next 48 hours, with high risks of landslides and flash floods across Henan. Major reservoirs like Zushuchao and Wanmipo are now nearing the flood discharge threshold. If forced to release water, the flood surge will head straight for densely populated downstream areas where many residents still haven't been fully evacuated. Local authorities are racing against time, battling rising water while trying to hold together an aging dike system that has already weakened after years of neglect. Thank you for watching. Natural disasters like this remind us just how quickly life can change and how powerful nature truly is. If you want to hear more real stories about disasters and human resilience, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Please share this video to raise awareness, and leave a comment below to tell us what you think. Stay safe, stay informed, and never forget the power of nature.